Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack critical insights you need to know, distilling them into clear, actionable knowledge. Today, we're plunging into a topic that might genuinely surprise you, perhaps even turn your understanding of healthy eating on its head, especially if you're over 60. We're going to shine a light on a seemingly innocent daily habit, one involving a common, beloved food that could be backfiring for your heart and brain health, quietly raising your risk of a stroke, sometimes even overnight.
And as a brain specialist who's seen the devastating aftermath, I can tell you I've encountered far too many unexpected strokes in older adults. It's really quite concerning. These weren't from the obvious culprits like, smoking or a lifetime of fast food or even a lack of exercise. No, often it was from something they genuinely believed was healthy, something they consumed daily with the best of intentions. This is precisely why this deep dive is so crucial. Millions of seniors worldwide reach for fruit every day, trusting it to support their hearts, their minds, their digestion. And while many fruits absolutely do support healthy aging, some when eaten at the wrong time, in the wrong amounts, or in combination with certain medications, can quietly do considerable harm. They can spike blood sugar, subtly dehydrate the brain, or interact dangerously with common prescriptions. And the most unsettling part, almost no one is warning them.
That's a stark reality check. Wow. So our mission today is clear. We're going to uncover 9 common fruits that, under specific conditions, could be unknowingly increasing your risk of stroke, contributing to memory loss, or even in severe cases, triggering a brain bleed, particularly if you're in that 60-plus age group. Our aim is to equip you with critical, potentially life-saving knowledge. We'll delve into the why behind these hidden dangers, share concrete examples, and even some powerful real-life patient stories. Because the essential truth we're exploring is this: what was once unequivocally healthy for you at 30 may no longer be entirely safe for your heart and brain at 70, without a complete understanding of how your body has changed with age. So let's begin to peel back the layers and uncover these surprising truths. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with a fruit that's almost universally seen as a symbol of health: the banana. For decades, we've lauded bananas as the perfect snack, soft, easy to digest, packed with potassium, even labeled heart healthy. And for a younger individual, in their 30s or 40s, that's absolutely true. But what happens once you cross the 60-year mark? Your kidneys, your blood vessels, your entire cardiovascular system begins to handle sudden shifts in key minerals like potassium in a fundamentally different way. What exactly is the physiological shift that makes bananas a hidden danger for senior heart and brain health?
Well, what's truly fascinating and often overlooked is the profound way our physiology adapts with age. It really is remarkable. For seniors, a daily banana can quietly lead to dangerously high potassium levels, which can cause significant heart rhythm issues and even contribute to the formation of blood clots that could lead to a stroke. Let's break down the why. As we age, our kidneys naturally become less efficient. Think of your kidneys as sophisticated filters for your blood. Over time, the number of functional filtering units, called nephrons, gradually decreases. It's just a natural part of aging for many. This age-related decline means your kidneys simply don't filter waste and excess minerals like potassium as efficiently as they once did. This reduced efficiency becomes even more pronounced if you're already managing conditions common in later life, such as high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes, or if you're on widely prescribed medications like ACE inhibitors or diuretics, often called water pills. While these medications are vital for managing heart health, they can also significantly impact how your body processes fluids and maintains its electrolyte balance. It's a complex interplay.
So if those hardworking kidneys aren't quite at peak performance, maybe a bit sluggish, and you're consistently adding something loaded with potassium, like a banana, into the mix, what's the cascade effect on the body, especially the heart? What happens then?
Precisely. Potassium, which bananas are indeed richly endowed with. A single large banana can contain over 450 milligrams, can begin to build up in your bloodstream. That condition is known as hyperkalemia. And this is where the danger for your heart and brain truly intensifies. When potassium levels climb too high, your heart's electrical system, the system that controls its rhythm, it can become disrupted. This can lead to irregular heartbeats or arrhythmias, which themselves can increase stroke risk quite significantly. Simultaneously, those elevated potassium levels can cause your blood vessels to constrict and stiffen. That increases blood pressure and hinders the smooth, easy flow of blood. But perhaps most critically for stroke risk, elevated potassium can contribute to the formation of blood clots, where blood should be flowing freely. Think about that. If such a clot forms in the delicate arteries supplying the brain, it can cut off vital blood flow, leading to an immediate and potentially devastating stroke.
That's a truly unsettling thought, really unsettling. That something so commonplace, something we see as purely healthy, could have such a profound and potentially devastating effect on our most vital organs. Can you share a real-life example that brings this home? Maybe a patient story you remember.
Oh, absolutely. I will never forget Mr. Raymond. He was a 66-year-old retired carpenter from Ohio, a really vibrant, sharp-minded man. He took immense pride in maintaining what he considered a healthy lifestyle. You know the type. For over a year, his morning routine was unvarying. He'd meticulously slice a banana over his oatmeal and take his blood pressure medication with a glass of orange juice. Every single morning. He genuinely believed he was doing everything right for his heart and overall health. The best intentions. But one morning, his wife found him collapsed in the bathroom, just like that. He couldn't move his left side. His speech was slurred, a sudden, devastating stroke. Hospital scans revealed that his blood potassium levels were dangerously high, interfering with his heart rhythm and, crucially, triggering the formation of blood clots overnight while he slept. He had absolutely no idea that his seemingly innocent habit of 2 bananas a day, combined with his prescribed medication, was subtly tipping his body into such a perilous state. It created the perfect internal environment for a stroke to occur. He just didn't know.
Wow. That story is incredibly impactful. Just devastating. It really underscores how seemingly small, well-intentioned habits can have monumental, unforeseen consequences as we age, especially concerning our heart and brain. So what's the most critical takeaway for our listeners here? What's the bottom line?
The crucial piece of information most seniors aren't aware of is this. You often don't need that much potassium, especially not all at once from supplements or multiple fruit servings. Your body changes. A single large banana is enough to disrupt your body's delicate electrolyte balance if your kidneys aren't at their peak filtering capacity. And here's a critical timing aspect for cardiovascular health. If you consume that banana at night, your circulation naturally slows down as your body prepares for sleep, right? Your hydration levels may dip, and any evening medications you take are actively circulating. This combination creates what we call a perfect storm within your cardiovascular system. You get stiff arteries, blood that's prone to thickening, and an environment ripe for clot formation. A clot that could silently block a brain artery while you sleep, potentially leaving you with no second chance. It's that serious.
Okay, so the timing is key. Nighttime is a real danger zone for this. So what's the actionable advice for someone over 60, particularly if they're on heart or blood pressure medications? What should they do?
First and foremost, practice moderation. That's key. If you enjoy bananas, consider limiting yourself to just half a banana per day. Really just half. And crucially, always consume it in the morning, not at night. That timing matters. Pair it with a good source of protein, like maybe some Greek yogurt or a small handful of nuts. This helps to slow down the absorption of both potassium and natural sugars, mitigating that sudden influx. It buffers it, you see. Definitely steer clear of concentrated forms like banana smoothies or banana bread. Those can deliver a highly concentrated dose of potassium and sugar all at once.
Oh, okay. Good point. Smoothies can really pack it in.
Exactly. And please avoid eating bananas right before bed. Just don't do it. Most importantly, have an open and honest conversation with your doctor about how potassium-rich foods might interact with your specific prescriptions. Everyone's different. Your heart and brain health and ultimately your independence could genuinely depend on this conversation. Remember, what used to be healthy for your younger body may not be safe anymore without understanding the full context of your aging physiology. It's just different now.
Okay, that's incredibly clear about bananas. Thank you. Now, if that revelation about bananas surprised you, prepare yourself, because what we're about to tell you about grapes, yes, those tiny, sweet, innocent-looking grapes might fundamentally change how you view your fruit bowl and snack habits forever. Grapes can be a silent trigger for increased blood sugar, inflammation within your brain vessels, and an elevated risk of a silent stroke. That sounds serious.
Grapes, yeah, they really embody refreshment and simplicity, don't they?
Yeah.
A snack that feels utterly harmless. You see them everywhere, adorning fruit platters nestled in cereal bowls or casually munched as a light dessert. They seem so innocent. But here's a critical, often missed truth. For someone over 60, particularly if you have underlying vascular issues or struggles with blood sugar management, grapes can act as a quiet catalyst for stroke. It's easy to overlook, but grapes are, in essence, concentrated sugar encapsulated in a delicate skin. Think about that. While one small grape might seem inconsequential, consuming even a handful, especially the plump, seedless, and intensely sweet varieties so prevalent in our grocery stores, can deliver a rapid and significant surge of natural glucose and fructose directly into your bloodstream. A real sugar rush.
And for an aging cardiovascular system and the delicate blood vessels in the brain, that rapid sugar spike comes with a substantial cost, doesn't it? It's not just sugar, it's the speed.
It absolutely does. The speed is a major factor. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at regulating blood sugar. It's just a fact. Our insulin response, which helps clear sugar from the blood, can slow down, and our blood vessels, including that intricate network supplying our brain, become more fragile and less flexible. They stiffen up. When blood sugar levels surge rapidly like that, it doesn't just put stress on your pancreas. It initiates an inflammatory response inside the delicate lining of your arteries, inside the vessels themselves. This inflammation can lead to the gradual stiffening and narrowing of these vessels over time. It's a slow process. Chronic, low-grade inflammation can also cause microscopic tears in the vessel walls, which is precisely where blood clots can begin to form as the body attempts to repair these tiny injuries. You might not feel this process happening, you probably won't. It might not show up on a routine checkup. But internally, your body could be quietly building the perfect conditions for a silent stroke, a devastating event to your brain and heart health that often goes undetected until symptoms appear. Suddenly.
That sounds incredibly insidious, like a hidden process building quietly beneath the surface, just waiting. Do you have a patient story that truly exemplifies this silent danger with grapes?
Oh, yes. I vividly remember Mrs. Jeanette Morris. She was an 80-year-old retired school teacher from Missouri. A lovely woman. She prided herself on living a natural, wholesome life. No sodas, no processed foods, always fresh fruits. Very careful, she thought. Her preferred mid-morning snack was a generous bowl of red grapes. A big bowl. She'd snack on them while reading the newspaper or watching the morning news, often consuming nearly 2 cups without a second thought, just munching away. Then one day, while writing a birthday card, she noticed her vision blurring, just like that. Moments later, her hand began to tremble, and she couldn't recall the simple word, congratulations. The word just wouldn't come. Her daughter, sensing something was gravely wrong, rushed her to the hospital. It was a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, often referred to as a mini stroke. Basically a temporary clot that briefly interrupted blood flow to the left side of her brain. Her lab results were telling. Sharp sugar spikes consistently around midday, right after her grape snack, likely. And her A1C, which measures long-term blood sugar, had crept into the pre-diabetic range. She had no idea. Even more revealing was the evidence of chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout her vascular system, likely worsened by years of high-sugar fruit intake consumed without the balancing effect of protein or fiber. Her seemingly healthy grape habit had been a quiet accomplice in the silent development of vascular damage.
So it really comes down to context, doesn't it? Context and balance. Even foods traditionally labeled healthy can become problematic for seniors if the context is wrong.
Exactly. That's the key message. For those over 60, the context of what you eat, including the timing and what you pair it with, becomes just as vital as the food itself, maybe even more so. Grapes, for instance, digest very rapidly, sending that rush of sugar through your veins. If consumed alone, especially when your body is already maybe a little dehydrated or under stress, it can push your system into a state where blood thickens, blood vessels constrict, and the likelihood of clot formation increases. You won't notice it immediately, of course not, but consistently repeating this pattern day after day, week after week, contributes to a cumulative risk that eventually, sadly, might manifest as a stroke.
That's a powerful and clear warning. So what's the actionable advice for our listeners regarding grapes, specifically for protecting their heart and brain health as they age?
My advice to older patients is this. Never, ever eat grapes on an empty stomach, and certainly never consume them by the bowlful. Just don't. Always pair them with protein, maybe a few almonds, a small slice of cheese, or some Greek yogurt, something to slow it down. This pairing significantly slows down the absorption of sugar, preventing those rapid damaging spikes. It buffers the effect. Limit your portions to a small handful, okay? And preferably consume them during active hours of the day when your body is more likely to utilize that sugar for energy, not when you're winding down. And a specific warning, if you are diabetic, pre-diabetic, or on blood pressure medications, it's generally safer to avoid grapes entirely unless your doctor specifically advises otherwise. Just skip them. What appears to be a harmless snack can, over time, suddenly undermine the health of your blood vessels, silently building conditions that could lead to a stroke and ultimately rob you of your balance, your memory, and your precious independence.
Right. Okay, grapes handled with care or avoided if necessary. Got it. And speaking of sweet, seemingly harmless yet potentially dangerous fruits, let's talk about pineapple. Many seniors cherish this tropical fruit, believing it to be light, natural, and helpful for digestion because of the enzymes, right? But its acid, its enzymes, and especially its effects when eaten at night could be putting your heart and brain at a surprising risk. What's the neurological concern here?
There absolutely is a significant neurological and cardiovascular concern, yes. What most seniors often don't realize, and what deeply concerns me as a neurologist, is how pineapple, when consumed at the wrong time or under specific conditions, can become a silent risk factor for stroke, particularly the kind that occurs overnight. That's a vulnerable time. Let's look at its components. Pineapple contains bromelain, a natural enzyme known for breaking down proteins. People talk about that for digestion. While small amounts might aid digestion, in excess, especially when combined with certain medications, can interfere with your body's complex blood clotting mechanisms and reduce platelet function. This can lead to unpredictable blood thinning or, paradoxically, an increased propensity for clot formation. It can go either way, which is tricky. For someone over 60, with naturally thinner blood vessels and a slower metabolism, this imbalance in clotting factors can have serious unseen consequences for their cardiovascular system and brain.
So it's not just the sugar content that's the issue. Bromelain adds another layer of complexity.
The sugar content is certainly a factor, absolutely. A single cup of fresh pineapple contains over 16 grams of natural sugar, and it boasts a high glycemic index. That means it causes a rapid spike in blood glucose. Unlike berries or some tart apples, pineapple quickly floods the bloodstream with sugar. Very fast. When consumed later in the day, that sugar isn't readily used for energy. Instead, it circulates, putting strain on your blood vessels while you sleep. But the most overlooked threat for older adults, I think, lies in its acidity. Pineapple is one of the more acidic fruits in the American diet. This acidity can irritate the esophagus and trigger silent reflux, that's acid reflux, without the typical burning pain or heartburn symptoms. You might not even know you have it.
Silent reflux. Okay, I haven't heard much about that being linked to stroke risk.
Yes, in some seniors, this silent reflux can lead to microaspiration. Tiny amounts of stomach acid are inhaled, causing subtle irritation and inflammation in the airways. This can then lead to nighttime airway pressure changes. These changes have been directly linked to reduced oxygen delivery to the brain during sleep and a significantly increased risk of early morning strokes. And those early morning strokes are often among the most deadly kind, so it's a serious connection.
Wow. Acid reflux, sugar spikes, enzyme interference. That combination sounds like a genuine perfect storm for someone at higher risk. Can you share an example of how this has played out with a patient?
I recall Mrs. Clara Hughes, a vibrant 77-year-old retired choir director from North Carolina. Very active, very sharp, deeply committed to a clean diet. She specifically avoided processed sweets and for over a year had replaced her evening desserts with a few slices of fresh pineapple after dinner. Thought she was making a healthy choice. This was her seemingly harmless nightly ritual. Then one morning she woke up feeling unusually foggy and disoriented. Just not herself. Her daughter immediately noticed she was slurring her words and struggling to maintain her balance while walking. Big red flags. A CT scan confirmed she had suffered a small posterior circulation stroke, which specifically affected her balance and speech centers. Her blood work revealed elevated glucose levels, clear signs of nighttime reflex irritation, and subtle platelet irregularities. All the pieces were there. The culprit wasn't a single factor, but a dangerous interplay created by her nightly pineapple habit. Acid reflux, significant sugar spikes, and bromelain's subtle but impactful effect on blood clotting. It was a fruit she believed was enhancing her health, yet it nearly stole her precious independence and cognitive function. It's sobering.
It's truly remarkable how many interconnected factors come into play, especially when our bodies age, things we'd never connect. So what's the vital takeaway for our listeners here regarding pineapple?
Clara's case, unfortunately, is not unique. I've seen variations of this. For seniors, the digestive system slows down, blood vessel walls become thinner and more fragile, and sleep patterns themselves become less robust. Things just change. When you combine those physiological changes with acidic, high-sugar fruit consumed at night, you create a real risk. Blood vessels can constrict more easily during rest, precisely when the brain is most vulnerable to reduced blood flow. And yes, under these specific circumstances, this can quietly contribute to the formation of blood clots, silently setting the stage for a stroke while you're asleep. So, if you enjoy pineapple, please enjoy it earlier in the day, in very small amounts, okay? And crucially, never on an empty stomach. If you are on blood-thinning medications, definitely consult your doctor before making pineapple a regular part of your diet. That interaction is key. And most importantly, do not eat it before bed. Your brain needs stability and predictable physiological conditions, not unexpected surprises while you sleep. At this stage in life, even a seemingly innocuous fruit can tip the delicate balance of your heart and brain health. You have to be more careful.
Okay, pineapple before bed is a definite no-go. That's very clear. Now, if that surprised you about pineapple, wait until we talk about watermelon. Yes, watermelon. A fruit almost synonymous with hydration and summer refreshment, yet under certain conditions, it might be silently dehydrating your body, thickening your blood, and lowering your blood pressure in ways that can leave you dangerously vulnerable to a stroke. How can something so watery actually become a silent risk? This one seems really counterintuitive.
It's a profound paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really messes with your intuition. It's hard to find a fruit more universally cherished in the summer than watermelon. We associate it with chilled slices on a hot day, sweet refreshment, and a feeling of wholesome hydration. It just feels good. It feels harmless, even beneficial. And yes, it is indeed primarily water, over 90%. But for seniors, particularly those with underlying cardiovascular issues or those taking specific medications, watermelon can quietly, almost imperceptibly, push the body into a dangerous state. And it's not through sugar or acidity, but through what it actively removes from your system. As a brain specialist, I've become increasingly concerned about how often older adults inadvertently trigger their own stroke risks with foods they genuinely believe are completely safe. And watermelon is a prime example of this widespread misconception. It happens a lot.
But I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. How can a fruit that's mostly water actually lead to dehydration, especially for an aging cardiovascular system? It just seems wrong.
That's where the counterintuitive nature lies. It seems backward, I know. Watermelon, despite its high water content, possesses natural diuretic properties. That's the key. This means it encourages your body to increase urine production and frequency. It makes you pee more. For a healthy 25-year-old, this is generally inconsequential. Their system handles it. However, for a 75-year-old with delicate and often stiffened circulation, potentially borderline low blood pressure, or who is already taking diuretic medications, water pills, for conditions like mild heart failure or hypertension, well, that increased urination can lead to dangerous overnight dehydration.
Okay. It's the combination with medications or existing conditions.
Exactly. And why is this so hazardous for the heart and brain? Because when your body becomes dehydrated, your blood actually thickens. Imagine trying to pour thick syrup through a narrow winding tube. It moves sluggishly, right? Similarly, thickened blood moves much slower through your arteries, giving it more time to form clots, particularly in arteries that are already stiffened or narrowed by age. Your brain, which is exceptionally sensitive to even slight changes in oxygen and blood flow, becomes significantly more vulnerable when blood flow slows or is interrupted. This is especially true during the night when your body's natural circulation dips and blood pressure naturally lowers. It creates a perfect scenario for a stroke. Low flow, thick blood, narrow vessels.
That sounds like a silent, hidden threat, one that's easily missed because you think you're hydrating. Can you share a story about how this played out for one of your patients?
Consider the case of Mr. Howard Larkin, an 82-year-old retired postal worker from Indiana. A really proactive guy. Daily walks, avoiding processed foods, and meticulously choosing what he thought were only healthy snacks. Very health conscious. He had developed a fondness for eating 2 or 3 large slices of watermelon after dinner, convinced it was cooling him down and keeping him perfectly hydrated. Made sense to him. What he didn't realize, and what his doctor maybe hadn't emphasized enough, was that he was also on a prescribed diuretic for mild heart failure. The combination of his medication and the watermelon's natural diuretic effect caused Howard's body to shed far too much fluid overnight. Too much fluid loss. One morning he awoke with severe vertigo, like the room was spinning violently, and when he attempted to stand, he collapsed. At the hospital, his blood pressure was dangerously low, and his blood work indicated concentrated hemoglobin, a clear marker that his blood had significantly thickened due to dehydration. Scans tragically revealed a small ischemic stroke, almost certainly caused by a clot forming in his narrowed arteries while he slept during that period of low flow and thick blood. His beloved watermelon, it turned out, was doing the exact opposite of what he intended, silently dehydrating him and contributing to a dangerous environment for clot formation.
Oh, that's awful. Just awful. Trying to do the right thing.
Yes. The stroke severely impacted Howard's sense of balance and coordination. Though he survived, he now relies on a cane for mobility and often needs assistance with daily tasks. It was a stark change for a man who, just a week prior, was mowing his own lawn. It happened that fast.
That's a truly heartbreaking outcome from something so seemingly benign, just eating watermelon. What's the most critical advice here for our listeners, especially concerning their cardiovascular health and avoiding this trap?
I share Howard's story not to induce fear, but to illuminate a critical truth. Most seniors are unaware that even seemingly healthy foods can become dangerous when they interact with age-related physiological changes, specific medications, and the timing of consumption. It's the whole picture. Watermelon, when eaten late in the day, particularly if you're also taking medications that reduce fluid volume, creates a hidden risk. Thickened blood, dangerously low blood pressure, and significantly slowed circulation, the precise trifecta that allows blood clots to form quietly and strike overnight. So if you enjoy watermelon, please do so wisely. Consume it earlier in the day, not before bed. And always consider pairing it with electrolytes. Maybe a pinch of sea salt on the slices or a small glass of coconut water alongside it to help your body retain the essential minerals it needs.
Electrolytes, okay, that's a practical tip.
Yes, and if you are on diuretics, it's imperative to discuss your watermelon consumption habits with your doctor before making it a daily ritual. They need to know. And most importantly, listen to your body's subtle signals. Unexplained dizziness in the morning, persistent dry mouth overnight, or waking up confused are not normal aging. They are often urgent whispers of warning that your body's delicate balance is off. Pay attention. Because even a fruit that's 90% water can become a silent thief of your brain health and heart stability. And the most tragic part is you might not feel it until it's already too late.
Right. Listen to your body. Okay. Watermelon needs caution too. Now, if that surprised you about watermelon, brace yourself. We're about to discuss a fruit that's practically the poster child for a healthy breakfast, the classic American orange. But lurking within that bright, cheerful color is a hidden chemical that could be dangerously interfering with your vital heart and brain medications, setting the stage for something far more perilous than most people ever imagine. Oranges have always been a symbol of health, haven't they? A tall glass of fresh squeezed juice with breakfast, a vibrant bowl of orange slices, vitamin C central.
That's the image, absolutely. For generations, they've been celebrated as nature's vitamin C powerhouse.
Right.
But for older adults, particularly those managing complex heart conditions or on blood pressure medications, oranges can inadvertently become a dangerous chemical cocktail. Sounds dramatic, but it's true.
A chemical cocktail from an orange.
That's an absolutely critical point. Oranges possess compounds that can set off dangerous chain reactions inside the body, including those that directly contribute to the formation of blood clots and increase stroke risk. The issue isn't solely the sugar, though one large orange or a glass of juice can certainly send blood glucose levels spiking, putting strain on the cardiovascular system. That's part of it. But the primary concern here is a natural compound found in citrus fruits called furanocoumarin. Furanocoumarin.
Furanocoumarin. Okay, I never heard of it.
Most people haven't, yet it's profoundly important for this group. Think of furanocoumarin as a disruptive agent that interferes with your liver's drug processing factory. Specifically, it inhibits an enzyme system in your liver, the cytochrome P450 system responsible for breaking down many common prescription medications, particularly statins, which millions take for cholesterol, calcium channel blockers for blood pressure and heart rhythm, and even certain blood thinners.
So it blocks the liver from doing its job with these meds.
Exactly. What this means is that instead of your body metabolizing your medications safely and gradually, the furanocoumarin can prevent its breakdown. This causes too much medication to build up in your bloodstream, essentially raising its toxicity to danger levels, like an accidental overdose. Or, in some cases, it can actually accelerate the medication's elimination, rendering it ineffective when you need it. This unpredictable interaction creates conditions where your blood becomes unstable, your arteries might constrict unpredictably, or dangerous blood clots begin to form without any immediate warning. It throws everything off balance.
So it's like a hidden, dangerous interaction that can essentially turn your carefully prescribed medication into an overdose, or conversely, make it useless. That's terrifying. Can you tell us about a patient who experienced this firsthand?
As a brain doctor, I've indeed witnessed too many patients unknowingly pay a high price for mixing what they perceive as healthy fruit with powerful life-sustaining medications. It's sadly common. One such patient was Mr. Elmer Bryant, 79, a retired bus driver from Georgia. A kind, jovial man. Elmer had been taking atorvastatin for high cholesterol and amlodipine for his blood pressure for years, standard meds for many seniors. He prided himself on his natural lifestyle. Every morning he started his day with a tall glass of freshly squeezed orange juice, his sunshine in a glass, as he called it. Seemed healthy, right? What Elmer was unaware of, however, was that the furanocoumarin in that juice was actively preventing his liver from properly metabolizing his medications. Day after day, his blood pressure medication was building up in his bloodstream, intensifying its effects and causing his blood pressure to drop precariously low at times, made him dizzy. Simultaneously, the statin was accumulating, increasing inflammation and affecting the integrity of his blood vessels. Not good. One morning, after experiencing several days of subtle dizziness he'd ignored, Elmer stood up from his recliner and collapsed. just went down. He was rushed to the ER with slurred speech and confusion, classic stroke symptoms. A CT scan tragically revealed a mild ischemic stroke. His blood test confirmed dangerously elevated drug levels, not because he had taken too much medication intentionally, but because the orange juice had blocked his liver's ability to clear it. His blood had become unstable, circulating unpredictably, and yes, it formed a clot that lodged itself in a narrowed artery in his brain, directly linked to the juice interaction.
Wow. That's an incredibly powerful and crucial lesson for anyone on medication, especially those managing their heart health, just from orange juice.
When I explained this intricate interaction to Elmer and his wife, they were utterly stunned, just floored. All my life I thought orange juice was good for me, he said, heartbroken. And it probably was, once. But the aging body is fundamentally different. What your body tolerated and processed efficiently at 40 does not necessarily hold true at 70 or 80, especially when multiple prescription medications are in the picture. The system changes. This is precisely why fruits like grapefruit, which is famous for this interaction, but also Seville oranges and even regular navel oranges, when consumed regularly, must be carefully considered by older adults taking multiple medications for heart or vascular conditions.
So it's not just grapefruit, it's regular oranges too, if eaten often.
Yes, the effect might be less potent than grapefruit, but with regular consumption, especially of juice, it can definitely be significant for some people on certain meds. The aging liver becomes slower, less efficient, and the risks of drug-food interactions increase significantly with age. It's a major factor in geriatric medicine. For those over 60, I now strongly recommend consuming oranges sparingly, especially juice. More importantly, never combine them with your medications without first consulting your physician or pharmacist. Ask specifically about citrus interactions. If you enjoy citrus, opt for lower-risk alternatives like clementines, perhaps, which seem to have less furanocoumarin, or simply squeeze a small splash of juice into your water rather than drinking full glasses. Moderation is key. And if you are on any prescription drugs, especially for heart, blood pressure, or cholesterol, make it a point to ask your doctor whether citrus could be interfering. Be proactive. Because the truth is, it's not just what's in your medicine cabinet that matters, it's also what's in your fruit bowl. A simple, well-meaning habit, repeated daily, can be the hidden factor that silently pushes your brain and heart towards catastrophe.
Okay, that's incredibly important advice about oranges and medication interactions. Thank you. If this information about oranges worries you, it absolutely should. But remember, knowledge is power. By simply altering how and when you consume certain fruits or talking to your doctor, you can drastically reduce your risk. And if you think oranges are the only everyday fruit with a dark side, you'll definitely want to stick around. Because the next one is a fruit frequently given in hospitals, praised for gut health and energy, but which may be quietly damaging your delicate blood vessels and setting you up for a stroke.
Let's talk about apples and the surprising sugar trap that very few people are warning you about. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? It's the quintessential symbol of American health. Crisp, juicy, easy to eat, often handed out in hospitals, proudly included in senior lunch programs. They seem so safe.
It's precisely that ingrained perception of universal health that makes them so deceptive for older adults, that health halo effect. For seniors, especially those over 60 managing conditions like blood pressure fluctuations, diabetes, or even subtle cognitive changes, apples may not be as harmless as they appear. Not all apples, anyway. In fact, the wrong kind of apple, eaten in the wrong way, can quietly but significantly elevate your risk of stroke by dangerously disturbing your blood sugar stability and vascular health. You see, not all apples are created equal. That's the first point. While apples do contain beneficial fiber and some nutrients, many of the most popular American varieties, think Fuji, Honeycrisp, Galagay, the really sweet ones are specifically bred for their intense sweetness, not necessarily for their nutritional density or low sugar content.
Ah, bred for sweetness, so they pack more sugar than we might think.
Exactly. These super sweet apples have a remarkably high glycemic load, meaning they rapidly flood your bloodstream with natural sugars, often much faster than your aging system can efficiently manage. It's a big sugar hit. And if you consume them alone, particularly without source of protein or healthy fat to slow down digestion and sugar absorption, you initiate a rapid blood sugar spike, inevitably followed by a sharp crash. Upswing, downswing.
So it's that sugar roller coaster effect again, similar to the grapes, that's problematic for the heart and brain, causing instability.
Precisely. That's a great way to put it. This sudden surge and subsequent drop in blood sugar does far more than just affect your energy levels, making you feel tired after the crash. It significantly impacts your blood pressure regulation, it contributes to chronic vascular inflammation, and it directly affects blood viscosity, essentially making your blood more acidic and sticky. not good for flow. When your blood sugar spikes, your insulin levels surge in response, trying to manage it, and your blood vessels can actually tighten and constrict during these fluctuations. Over time, this repetitive pattern, day after day, week after week, causes damage to the delicate inner lining of your arteries, including those crucial vessels that supply your brain. Micro tears can develop in these linings, and when that happens, your body's natural repair mechanism involves forming tiny blood clots to seal the damage.
The body tries to heal itself, but the clots are the problem.
In younger, healthier adults, these systems recover quickly, the clots dissolve, no big deal. But for older adults whose blood vessels are already narrower, stiffer, and more fragile from age or other conditions, well, those microclots can easily become genuine stroke triggers, simply waiting for the wrong moment, maybe another sugar surge, to lodge and block vital blood flow.
Can you share an example of how this seemingly innocuous habit, just eating a sweet apple, played out with one of your patients, leading to a serious cardiovascular event?
Yes, one of my patients, Mrs. Louise Hammond, 81, from Pennsylvania. She had maintained excellent health for most of her life, really took care of herself. She walked daily, took her prescribed medications diligently, and adhered to what she genuinely believed was a smart, heart-healthy diet. Her consistent afternoon snack was a large Honeycrisp apple, no chips, no cookies, just pure fruit. She thought it was the perfect healthy choice. What she didn't realize, however, was that she also had developing insulin resistance, a very common age-related change where the body doesn't respond to insulin as well. Those daily sugar surges from her very sweet apple were continuously overwhelming her aging blood vessels. Just too much, too fast, every day. Over time, she began to notice subtle symptoms. Her vision blurring slightly in the evenings, an occasional feeling of pressure in her head when she stood up. Little things she dismissed. One evening, while preparing dinner, Louise suddenly lost her ability to speak clearly. The words just wouldn't form correctly. Aphasia. Her quick-thinking daughter rushed her to the emergency room, where imaging confirmed a minor stroke. Her lab results clearly indicated unstable blood glucose patterns and signs of endothelial inflammation in the lining of her blood vessels. The evidence was there. While her medications were working okay, her daily sugar spikes from the apple had quietly yet consistently set her up for significant vascular damage. And yes, a clot had formed, most likely during one of those sudden blood sugar peaks, interrupting crucial blood flow to her brain. Louise recovered, thankfully, but she now views apples with a profound awareness, not as an enemy, but as a powerful food to be treated with respect, awareness, and balance. It was a wake-up call.
So what's the crucial understanding our listeners need to gain about apples, particularly as they navigate the changes that come with aging and want to protect their heart and brain?
Here's what I emphasize to all my senior patients. If you love apples, choose wisely. Not all apples are the same. Green apples, such as Granny Smith varieties, are generally a much better choice. They are significantly lower in sugar and higher in brain protective compounds called polyphenols.
Granny Smith. Okay, the tart ones are better.
Generally, yes. And critically, always pair your apple, even a Granny Smith, with a source of protein or healthy fat, like a small piece of cheese or a tablespoon of almond butter. This pairing dramatically blunts the glycemic impact and prevents that rapid, damaging sugar surge. It smooths out the curve. And never, ever consume a sweet apple on an empty stomach, especially in the evening when your system is slowing down. Your brain, and indeed your entire cardiovascular system, needs stable, consistent fuel, not the jarring roller coasters of blood sugar that lead to vascular strain and potential clot formation. Because even something as seemingly wholesome and iconic as an apple can, beneath the surface, be subtly stirring up the very conditions that make a stroke more likely. Especially when your blood sugar swings wildly, your blood vessels tighten, and those quiet, silent clots begin to form, until one day, they don't stay silent anymore.
Right. Choose tart apples, pair them with protein or fat. That makes sense. And if that surprised you about apples, you'll want to keep listening, because next is a fruit that many seniors adore for its lauded heart health benefits, rich in color, packed with antioxidants, often labeled a superfood: cherries. But hidden inside those ruby red skins is a natural compound that can thin your blood too much. And for those already on medication for heart conditions, that could literally mean the difference between safety and a devastating brain bleed. Let's talk about cherries and why consuming too many can quietly tip your body into danger. They're small, beautiful, bursting with vibrant color, and have rightly earned a reputation as one of the healthiest fruits, particularly for their anti-inflammatory properties. You hear about them for arthritis, gout, heart health.
It's true. Cherries are celebrated throughout wellness circles for their powerful benefits. They do have anti-inflammatory compounds. But beneath their naturally sweet taste and glowing reputation, cherries harbor a little-known and potentially dangerous risk, especially for older adults who are already prescribed blood thinners or other medications that impact blood clotting. This is crucial. The core danger lies in a natural compound found abundantly in cherries called salicylates, S-A-L-I-C-Y-L-A-T-E-S.
Salicylates, like in aspirin.
Exactly. It's a substance that chemically works very similarly to aspirin, actively thinning your blood. Well, this could be beneficial in moderation for some people. For seniors whose blood is already thinned by critical medications like warfarin, Coumadin, Plavix, Eliquis, Xarelto, or even just a daily low-dose aspirin for heart protection. Well, adding more salicylates from food, like a lot of cherries, can dangerously push the body over the edge, making the blood too thin to clot properly.
Okay, so too much blood thinning. What are the dangerous consequences for our heart and brain when blood becomes too thin? What happens then?
The result is blood that becomes so thin it struggles to clot effectively when needed. This leads to fragile blood vessels that can leak more easily. In the most severe and terrifying cases, this can lead to a hemorrhagic stroke.
A bleeding stroke, not a clot stroke.
Correct. A devastating type of stroke caused by bleeding inside the brain, rather than a clot-blocking flow. And these are often very difficult to treat and have poor outcomes. Most people would never, ever connect a brain bleed to fruit consumption. It sounds almost far-fetched, doesn't it? But tragically, I have witnessed it firsthand. Let me share the story of Mr. Daniel Rhodes, 84, a retired train conductor from Illinois. Years prior, he had experienced a mild heart attack and was subsequently placed on a daily low-dose aspirin, along with a statin and a blood pressure medication, all crucial for his heart health. A standard regimen. Every night, without fail, he ended his dinner with a small bowl of cherries, his nature's dessert, as he affectionately called them. He loved them. He had diligently read about their anti-inflammatory benefits and was committed to staying active for his beloved great-grandkids. He thought he was doing something good for his joints and heart. Initially, there were absolutely no overt signs of danger. He felt fine. But after several weeks of this nightly cherry habit, Daniel began experiencing persistent headaches, bouts of dizziness, and occasional nausea, vague symptoms. One morning, he awoke feeling profoundly confused and began vomiting uncontrollably. His alarmed wife rushed him to the emergency room. Something was clearly very wrong. A CT scan revealed something terrifying, a massive brain bleed, a hemorrhagic stroke.
Oh my goodness.
It was not caused by high blood pressure, which was controlled, nor by trauma. It was because his blood had become dangerously thin, incapable of clotting effectively, and a small, delicate vessel in his brain had ruptured. The doctors meticulously ruled out medication errors. His aspirin dosage was correct, his other vitals were stable. But upon a comprehensive review of his diet, the insidious culprit became clear. The compounded effect of salicylates from his daily cherry consumption, layered on top of his prescriptive blood thinner, the aspirin, had quietly created a perfect, perilous storm inside his brain. Too much thinning effect combined.
That's what makes this so incredibly dangerous, the subtle, gradual nature of the risk, building up unseen until a sudden catastrophic event. You don't feel your blood getting thinner.
Exactly. The effects are subtle, incremental, and dangerously gradual. You feel perfectly fine until suddenly you're not. And once a bleed commences in the brain, it is exceptionally challenging to stop. The recovery is profoundly uncertain. Some patients lose their ability to speak, others their mobility, and many unfortunately never fully regain their prior independence or cognitive function. The damage can be permanent. Here's what I desperately wish more older adults understood. Even natural, seemingly benign foods can powerfully interact with your critical prescriptions. Nature is powerful. Your body at 70 or 80 is not processing substances the same way it did at 40. Things change. A fruit that might innocently help a younger person recover from muscle soreness could, for someone relying on blood thinners for heart protection, silently push their system into a dangerous crisis. So, if you love cherries, please consume them with extreme mindfulness and caution, especially if you're on blood thinners. A few now and then are likely safe for most people. But absolutely avoid cherry concentrate, cherry juice, which can be very concentrated or large daily portions if you are currently on any medication that affects blood clotting.
Concentrate and juice are big ones to watch out for then.
Definitely. They can pack a much bigger salicylate punch than just a few fresh cherries. And it is imperative to always talk to your doctor or pharmacist before making something like cherries a regular part of your daily diet, especially considering how medicinally active this sweet little fruit can be. Ask about the interaction, because what seems small and insignificant can turn tragically serious when it enters an aging body already working overtime to maintain its delicate physiological balance. And when blood becomes too thin, It doesn't just leak, it can rush, and it leaves devastating, irreversible damage in its wake. It's a risk not worth taking lightly.
Okay. Cherries and blood thinners, a critical interaction to be aware of. Wow. If you think this is the end of surprising revelations, think again. There's another fruit, one often celebrated for its antioxidants and routinely served in upscale bowls at senior brunches, that might be carrying one of the heaviest pesticide loads in the grocery store: strawberries. And for older adults, those accumulating toxins don't just wash away, they can build up inside your body, potentially doing far more unseen harm to your brain and heart than you've ever been told. Let's take a hard, unvarnished look at strawberries and what's truly hiding beneath that inviting red shine. They appear so innocent, don't they? Bright red, heart-shaped, sweet with just the right touch of tartness. The very picture of health and vitality. Everyone loves strawberries.
They absolutely embody that image of health. But for older adults, the underlying truth about strawberries is often far less sweet and considerably more complex. It's not all good news. In fact, this widely popular fruit may be silently increasing your risk of stroke, fueling systemic inflammation, and contributing to long-term brain toxicity in ways you've likely never been warned about. Let's start with a crucial, often ignored fact. Strawberries are consistently one of the most heavily sprayed fruits in American agriculture, year after year.
Heavily sprayed, you mean pesticides?
Yes. Year after year, they consistently top the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen list, which ranks produce with the highest levels of pesticide residues based on USDA data. Strawberries are usually number one or very close. And here's the critical part. Even after thorough washing, a significant amount of these insidious residues remain embedded in the fruit or absorbed into its flesh. You can't just wash it all off. For seniors whose natural detoxification systems like the liver and kidneys often slow with age and become less efficient, these accumulated chemicals don't leave the body easily. Instead, they can build up in various tissues over time, including the delicate brain tissue.
Pesticides building up in the brain, that sounds bad.
It is. Many of these pesticides are specifically neurotoxic, meaning they directly damage brain cells, increase oxidative stress within aging neurons, and critically weaken the structural integrity of tiny, fragile blood vessels, particularly in the brain's white matter. Those white matter areas are the very areas most vulnerable to silent strokes, memory loss, and a general decline in cognitive function. That's where the damage often shows up. Once this damage sets in, your body responds with a pro-inflammatory cascade and an increased tendency for blood clot formation, significantly raising the risk of ischemic events impacting your heart and brain. It's a double whammy: toxic damage plus inflammation. But the risk doesn't stop at pesticides. Strawberries also contain natural compounds called purines.
Purines, like the ones related to gout.
Exactly. Purines break down in the body into uric acid. For individuals with a history of gout, kidney disease, or existing vascular inflammation conditions, unfortunately quite prevalent among seniors, elevated uric acid levels can trigger robust inflammatory responses. This inflammation leads to the narrowing of blood vessels, an increase in blood pressure, and, once again, the dangerous formation of blood clots, quietly contributing to cardiovascular risk from a different angle. So you have pesticides and purines potentially causing issues.
So it's a slow-burning process of risk accumulation from multiple sources in the same fruit, a kind of insidious long-term damage that builds up over time. Can you give us a patient example that highlights this potential issue with strawberries?
Yes, I recall Mrs. Elaine Carter, 80, from Michigan. She had always cherished strawberries, a lifelong fan. Every June, she would meticulously pick them fresh, freeze them for winter smoothies, and conscientiously ate a handful after dinner, convinced they were boosting her health with antioxidants. She had mild hypertension, was on a water pill for that, and occasionally struggled with bothersome joint pain, which she attributed to just getting older. Over time, she began experiencing unexplained dizziness in the mornings and persistent joint swelling that simply wouldn't subside, despite the strawberry she thought should be helping. One morning, she awoke with unsettling numbness in her right hand and noticeably slurred speech. Another stroke scenario. A CT scan confirmed a minor ischemic stroke. Her lab results were profoundly telling. Elevated uric acid levels, clear signs of oxidative stress markers being high, and chronic low-grade inflammation throughout her body. It pointed to a slow-burning process very likely fueled by years of exposure to pesticide residues from conventional strawberries and possibly the overload of purines from her daily strawberry habit, exacerbating her joint issues and vascular health. Her consistent, seemingly healthy strawberry habit, intended to protect her health, had in fact become a subtle daily dose of accumulated risk, silently contributing to vascular damage. And yes, ultimately it likely contributed to forming a clot, one that her aging body was no longer equipped to clear effectively. Elaine survived, but she now lives with mild memory gaps and persistent nerve sensitivity in her hand. When she tearfully confided in me, "I truly thought I was doing everything right," it served as a powerful reminder of how critically important context is in aging nutrition. It's heartbreaking, because even perceived superfoods like strawberries can, under the wrong conditions like heavy pesticide load, in the wrong body, with susceptibility to purines or slower detox, and at the wrong time, consumed daily for years, slowly turn toxic, leading to unforeseen heart and brain complications.
So what's the most crucial advice our listeners need to heed regarding strawberries, particularly for their long-term brain and heart health, given these concerns?
If you choose to eat strawberries, my strongest recommendation is to make sure they are organic every single time. This significantly reduces, though may not eliminate, pesticide exposure.
Organic is key for strawberries then.
It's probably the most important fruit to buy organic, yes, given its high ranking on the Dirty Dozen list. And wash them meticulously and thoroughly, even if organic. My advice is also not to consume them daily, especially conventionally grown ones. Don't make them a staple. And certainly do not rely on them as your sole or primary source of antioxidants. Diversify with other safer fruits like berries. If you have a history of gout, any kidney issues, or are currently on blood pressure medications where inflammation is a concern, it's absolutely essential to consult your doctor before making strawberries a regular component of your diet. The purine connection is real for susceptible individuals. And exercise caution with frozen strawberries, especially those found in pre-made smoothies or from uncertain origins. They often come from bulk batches, grown overseas with potentially even less stringent regulation and higher pesticide loads. Be wary, because what you don't know, especially about cumulative exposures over years, can indeed hurt you slowly, quietly, until one day, a silent blood clot or persistent inflammation steals your precious words, your sense of balance, or your fundamental independence. It's worth being cautious.
Organic, washed well, consumed in moderation, and with caution if you have gout or kidney issues. Got it. That's very practical advice for strawberries. And if strawberries surprised you with their hidden dangers, wait until you hear about our final fruit. A fruit that seems exotic, indulgent, and is frequently highlighted for its health claims in various wellness circles and even heart health supplements. Mango. This fruit may actually be quietly disrupting your blood pressure regulation, potentially triggering strokes, especially in the morning. Let's talk about mango and why this sweet tropical fruit might not belong on your plate if you're over 60, especially with certain health conditions. To many older adults, mango feels like a delightful tropical treat, doesn't it? A guilt-free reward for making healthy choices. It's naturally soft, incredibly fragrant, and possesses a unique sweetness. You'll find it routinely sliced in fruit salads, blended into smoothies at senior wellness cafes, or even dried and conveniently packaged as a supposedly healthy snack. Its vibrant orange flesh just screams natural goodness.
And for many, that's precisely how it's positioned and marketed, as a healthy indulgence. But for seniors, particularly those actively managing heart conditions, high blood pressure, or taking multiple medications, mango can subtly become a silent saboteur, one that elevates stroke risk in ways that very few doctors or nutritionists ever mention. It's often overlooked. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Mango is among the highest sugar foods commonly consumed in the American diet. Really high.
Higher than apples or bananas even.
Often, yes, especially per serving. Just 1 cup of ripe mango contains nearly 45 grams of natural sugar. To put that in perspective, that's significantly more sugar than an average glazed donut. Think about that.
45 grams. Wow, that's a lot of sugar, even if it's natural.
It is, and unlike complex carbohydrates, the sugars in mango are rapidly absorbed into your bloodstream, leading to sudden, dramatic blood sugar spikes, followed by significant insulin surges and subsequent crashes. Another roller coaster. For seniors who may have developing insulin resistance, diagnosed type 2 diabetes, or inherently unstable blood pressure, this roller coaster effect places enormous and cumulative strain on their delicate blood vessels, especially those intricate vessels that supply the brain. When blood sugar spikes repeatedly, the body responds with inflammation. We've talked about this pattern. This inflammation, coupled with the rapid sugar influx, causes arteries to tighten and circulation to slow. In the delicate aging vessels that feed the brain, this chronic inflammation can lead to tiny, microscopic cracks in the lining of the vessel walls. Once that happens, your body, in its natural repair mode, forms blood clots to seal those cracks. It's a normal defense mechanism, but when it occurs within already narrowed or stiffened vessels, it can become the precise starting point of a stroke. Same mechanism, different trigger.
So, similar to some of the other fruits we've discussed, it's not just the massive sugar content that's the issue, but also how it specifically interferes with critical medications, another interaction risk.
Exactly. Mango doesn't merely disrupt blood sugar with its high load. It also contains natural compounds that can significantly interfere with the intricate way your liver processes medications. Another cytochrome P450 issue.
Not again. Which compound this time?
One of these compounds, called miniferine, found in mangoes, has been shown in some scientific studies to slow down the cytochrome P450 enzyme system in the liver. Remember that system from oranges?
Yes, the liver's drug processing factory.
Right. That's the highly complex primary system your liver uses to break down and eliminate countless prescription drugs from your body. When that critical system slows down because of something you ate, like mango, medications build up in your body to higher concentrations than intended. This dramatically increases the risk of overdose, severe side effects, or dangerous interactions. If you're currently on medications like amlodipine, a common blood pressure medication, metoprolol, a beta blocker for blood pressure and heart rate, or even common statins, this interference can cause your blood pressure to dip dangerously low or your heart rhythm to fluctuate unpredictably, all without any immediate warning. It's a hidden danger.
That's an extremely serious concern, especially for those managing complex chronic health conditions with multiple medications. Do you have a compelling patient story that truly illustrates this dangerous interaction with mango?
Let me share the story of Mr. William Booker, 83, a retired firefighter from Nevada. A very active man, very committed to his health. Daily walks, maintaining a balanced diet, constantly seeking out heart-healthy options. He was doing his best. A few months ago, he began incorporating dried mango slices into his daily routine every afternoon. He thought it was a smart, healthy replacement for processed cookies or sweets. Dried fruit seems healthy, right?
Yeah, dried fruit often gets that health halo.
It does. He was also consistently taking prescribed medications for high blood pressure and atrial fibrillation, a common heart rhythm disorder that increases stroke risk already. After just a few weeks of this new daily mango habit, William began experiencing unsettling episodes of lightheadedness, particularly in the mornings when he got out of bed. One day he collapsed while getting out of bed. His wife discovered him pale, profoundly confused, and with a noticeable slight droop in the left side of his face. Stroke symptoms again. At the hospital, scans confirmed a minor ischemic stroke. His lab tests revealed his blood pressure had dropped dangerously low overnight, and critically, his medication levels for his heart meds were abnormally elevated despite him taking the correct prescribed dosage.
So the mango was blocking the breakdown of his meds, leading to low BP and maybe the clot.
That's exactly what the evidence pointed to. Both his doctor and I meticulously reviewed his entire lifestyle and diet, and the culprit became alarmingly clear. His daily dried mango habit had overloaded his liver with sugar and those interfering compounds. It directly interfered with how his essential medications were processed, leading to the dangerously low blood pressure. This interference, compounded by the significant sugar spikes from the highly concentrated dried mango, had created the perfect silent environment for a clot to form and trigger a stroke. William survived, but the stroke profoundly affected his coordination and short-term memory. He now lives with daily reminders of how something so seemingly natural and healthy nearly stole everything from him. It's a hard lesson.
This is precisely why being informed, truly understanding these nuances is so vitally important. It's not just about eat more fruit. What's the safest approach for our listeners when it comes to consuming mango, especially as they age and manage other health issues?
William's story underscores why I strongly urge older adults to rethink seemingly innocent tropical fruits like mango, especially in large or dried quantities. The sweetness of the fruit often masks its potential danger. It's not simply the high sugar content, though that's a big part of it. It's the complex way it interacts with the aging body, with its naturally slowing metabolism, and with the intricate web of prescription medications that so many seniors rely on for their daily health. Even just a few slices, particularly in the concentrated dried form, can be enough to tip an aging body into a dangerous imbalance. So if you truly enjoy mango, my strong advice is consume it in very, very small portions. Think a few bites, not half a mango, and only during the day, never before bed. Treat it like a tiny dessert.
A few bites only.
Okay, yes. And always pair it with a source of protein or healthy fat to effectively blunt that rapid sugar spike and mitigate its impact on your cardiovascular system, just like with apples. And most critically, if you are on any prescription medication, especially for heart conditions, cholesterol management, or blood pressure, it is absolutely essential to talk to your doctor or pharmacist first before eating mango regularly. Ask about mango specifically. Mango may simply not be suitable for you anymore at this stage of your life, especially with those interactions, because in our later years, our physiological margin for error significantly shrinks. It just does. What our bodies once tolerated effortlessly in our 30s or 40s can now, unexpectedly, trigger serious, life-altering consequences. Even from a seemingly benign fruit like mango, you have to be more vigilant.
Okay. Mango, very high sugar, potential medication interactions. Handle with extreme caution or avoid if on certain meds. Got it. So what does this all mean? After walking through these 9 fruits, bananas, grapes, pineapple, watermelon, oranges, apples, cherries, strawberries, and mangoes, fruits that may seem like the epitome of health, even completely harmless, only to discover they can quietly, insidiously raise your risk of stroke and compromise your heart health under certain circumstances. You might be feeling a bit confused right now, perhaps even a little betrayed by the fruit is always healthy message. You've been told all your life that fruit is nature's medicine, a pure gift from the earth, something you can always trust implicitly.
But the truth, especially for those of us navigating the intricate changes of life over 60, is undeniably more complicated. It just is. And crucially, it's far more important to deeply understand these complexities now. Aging truly changes everything. We've seen that pattern again and again today. The foods you consumed effortlessly at 30 or 40 no longer interact with your body in the same predictable way. It's a different internal environment. Your kidneys filter more slowly. Your liver processes medications with significantly less efficiency. Your blood vessels become more fragile and less flexible. And your brain, the most delicate and vital organ of all, becomes exquisitely sensitive to even subtle fluctuations in blood pressure, blood sugar, and critical blood clotting factors. It needs stability. This means that every single bite you take matters more now than ever before. The stakes are higher. Many older adults, with the absolute best of intentions, unknowingly construct daily routines that subtly, yet consistently, put their brain and heart at a quiet, creeping risk. A banana accompanying morning medication. A generous bowl of grapes as a relaxing snack. Pineapple after dinner. A tall glass of orange juice to start the day. These habits are so deeply ingrained, so ordinary, that they rarely spark any suspicion. They feel normal, healthy even. Yet beneath the surface, they can trigger a cascade of internal changes, silent, invisible, and slow, that increase inflammation, stiffen arteries, dangerously thin the blood or make it too thick, and in the most tragic cases, form the very blood clots that block vital oxygen and nutrients to the brain, or contribute to heart strain and failure over time.
As a brain specialist, you've seen the devastating aftermath of these silent processes firsthand. It must be incredibly difficult.
I have far too many times. It never gets easier. Patients who woke up feeling perfectly fine and ended their day in an intensive care unit, their lives changed forever. Individuals who tragically lost their ability to speak, to walk, or to even recognize their most cherished loved ones. All because of a tiny clot, sometimes no bigger than a grain of rice, forming in the wrong place at the wrong time in their brain, or because their cardiovascular system simply couldn't withstand the accumulating strain any longer. It is truly heartbreaking to witness. And what makes it even more profound is the realization that many of these debilitating events were, to a significant degree, preventable. Not primarily with more medicine, although medicine is vital, but with greater awareness and knowledge of how our food choices, in conjunction with the natural process of aging and our specific medications, interact and impact our most vital organs. Knowledge is prevention here.
But there's profound good news here, isn't there? We don't want to just leave people feeling scared. This isn't about instilling fear. It's about genuinely empowering our listeners with knowledge, offering them control over their health choices moving forward. So, what brain-safe and heart-healthy fruits should our listeners enthusiastically embrace? What are the good choices?
Absolutely. There's tremendous good news. That's the most important part. Not all fruit is dangerous. Far from it. In fact, some fruits, when selected wisely and consumed with mindful care, can be incredibly powerful allies in actively protecting your brain, safeguarding your heart, and preserving your cherished independence. So, what are the smart choices to reach for? What should be in the fruit bowl? First, berries. Blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries stand out as true champions. They are naturally low in sugar, exceptionally high in potent antioxidants, and rich in compounds called polyphenols, which actively protect delicate blood vessels and significantly reduce inflammation throughout your cardiovascular system. They're powerhouses. They don't cause those dramatic sugar spikes, they generally don't interfere with medications in the ways we've discussed, and they naturally support memory and healthy circulation. Berries are a fantastic choice.
Berries are definitely a win. Okay. What else? You mentioned green apples.
Yes. Second, green apples. Specifically varieties like Granny Smith. Unlike their sweeter cousins, these apples have a much lower glycemic impact and are packed with brain-protective flavonoids. Remember the key. Consume them with a small piece of cheese or a tablespoon of nut butter to provide steady, gentle energy without the jarring blood sugar crashes that can strain your heart. Pairing is crucial. Third, avocado is often forgotten, but technically a fruit.
Right, the healthy fats.
Exactly. They are exceptionally rich in healthy monounsaturated fats that powerfully help regulate blood pressure and support robust nerve function, essential for brain health. They do contain potassium, yes, but it's generally in a form your body absorbs more slowly and predictably without the sharp, dangerous spikes seen with high potassium, quickly absorbed fruits like bananas, especially when eaten in moderation. Fourth, lemons and limes. Think of these not as standalone snacks, but as incredibly effective flavor boosters. They naturally support liver detoxification and healthy digestion without delivering significant sugar or interfering with most medications. A generous squeeze into your water can gently invigorate your system and provide essential hydration without any hidden risks. Great way to flavor water.
Okay, lemons and limes for flavor. Good tip. Any others?
And fifth, maybe pomegranates. These are fantastic sources of antioxidants, but with a crucial caveat. Consume them only in very small amounts, especially the juice. Pomegranate juice is incredibly potent, packing a lot of sugar and compounds that can interact with some blood pressure and cholesterol medications, similar to grapefruit, but perhaps less studied.
So caution with pomegranate too, especially juice.
Yes. If you enjoy the juice, always dilute it significantly with water and limit yourself to just a few ounces occasionally. Talk to your doctor if you're on heart meds. The whole fruit in moderation is likely better. Its antioxidant properties can be highly beneficial, but caution is necessary due to potential interactions and sugar content.
So beyond recommending specific fruits like berries and avocados, what are the overarching general rules for eating fruit wisely in later life to truly protect your heart and brain across the board?
The overarching principles are absolutely paramount. They apply to almost all fruit for this age group. First, timing matters immensely. Aim to eat fruit earlier in the day when your metabolism is more active and your body can efficiently utilize the sugars for energy. Avoid late-night fruit snacks. Second, always practice smart pairing. Never consume fruit, especially higher sugar fruit, on an empty stomach. Always pair your fruit with a source of protein or healthy fat. Think nuts, seeds, cheese, yogurt, avocado. This combination significantly slows down the absorption of sugars and helps to minimize those dangerous sugar spikes or sudden drops in blood pressure that can impact your cardiovascular system. It creates balance. And third, strict nighttime avoidance. I'll say it again, never, under any circumstances, eat fruit right before bed, especially sugary or acidic ones. As your body winds down for sleep, your circulation is naturally at its lowest point. A sudden spike in sugar or acid at that hour can critically tip the delicate physiological balance, potentially leading to unseen damage that you won't feel until it's tragically too late. Give your body a break overnight.
Timing, pairing, and no fruit before bed. Simple rules, but potentially life-saving. This truly isn't about fostering fear, as you said, but rather about cultivating a deep respect for the profound changes that accompany aging and empowering yourself with the knowledge to thrive.
Precisely. That's the goal. This entire discussion is about profound respect for your age, for your incredible body that's carried you this far, and for the quiet, subtle signals it continuously sends you. We need to learn to listen better. You are not fragile, but you are undeniably different now than you were at 30 or 40. That profound truth doesn't mean you have to abandon enjoying life's sweetness. It means you have the wisdom and the power to enjoy it wisely. Enjoy it with the dignity and informed knowledge that only comes from a lifetime of experience and learning. You have navigated so much to reach this significant chapter in life through sheer perseverance, accumulated wisdom, and diligent self-care. Don't let something simple trip you up now. Do not allow a simple, innocent habit, a fruit you never gave a second thought to, become the silent thief of your precious health, your cognitive sharpness, or your cherished independence. Every single choice, even something as seemingly minor as a snack, holds the power to either bring you closer to vibrant vitality or inadvertently steer you further into risk. Choose vitality.
So take control. Use this information. Read your labels with a new understanding. Engage in open and honest conversations with your doctors and pharmacists about these potential interactions. And truly reflect on what's on your plate and how it might impact the intricate processes inside your body, not just today, but weeks and months down the line. Think long term.
Because the profound truth is, you are not merely eating to live anymore. You are eating to stay sharp, to stay standing strong, and to powerfully stay you for as long as possible. And with the right knowledge, the right fruits chosen carefully, and the right timing and pairing, you absolutely can stay wise, stay watchful, and truly thrive. Your extraordinary brain and resilient heart are listening to everything you feed them. Feed them well. Feed them the future you truly deserve.